It was a quiet afternoon in Toledo, Ohio. The streets of the neighborhood were calm, filled with the sound of children laughing and playing. Among them was 7-year-old Audriana, a little girl who had discovered a passion not typical for her age. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video. While many of her classmates enjoyed dolls or video games, Audriana loved something else entirely, riding her dirt bike. Every chance she got, she hopped on, the engine buzzing beneath her as she rode with joy. For her, it wasn't just a hobby, it was freedom. But not everyone saw it that way. At school, things were different. Instead of admiration, Audriana's love for bikes became a reason for ridicule. Her classmates teased her, whispering about how she wasn't like the other girls. Some called her a tomboy, others laughed at her for daring to do something meant for boys. What began as a few comments grew into something harsher. Day by day, the bullying intensified, wearing her down like a storm eroding the shore. Her mother, Alexandria Reynolds, noticed the change. The once confident little girl began to come home quieter, her spark dimmer. She didn't laugh as much. Sometimes she didn't even want to go to school. Alexandria's heart ached as she pieced together the truth. Her daughter was being bullied for being herself. And while Alexandria did her best to comfort her, she knew words alone wouldn't be enough. Audriana needed something bigger, something that would remind her she wasn't alone. So Alexandria reached out for help. And the ones who answered were not teachers, not school officials, but an unlikely group known as the Punishers. The Punishers were a motorcycle club made up of law enforcement officers, first responders, and service members. At first glance, they looked intimidating: leather vests, roaring bikes, tough expression. They were the kind of men and women you'd think twice about crossing paths with. But beneath that rugged exterior, their hearts were softer than most people knew, especially when it came to protecting children. When Alexandria told them about her daughter's struggles, she asked for something small, maybe a birthday card, just to remind Audriana that kindness still existed. But the Punishers had something much bigger in mind. "We told her we'd do better than that," explained Daniel Bushy, the club's president. The day they have denied present in 45 arrived in Audriana's neighborhood, the ground shook with the rumble of engines. One by one, the bikers pulled up, their motorcycles gleaming in the sunlight, the roar of exhaust echoing like thunder. The sound was impossible to ignore. Neighbors peeked from their windows, children stopped in their tracks, and Audriana herself stood wide-eyed, unsure of what was happening. Then she saw them, all those bikers rolling in, not to intimidate her, but to stand with her, to send a message to the world. Bullying would not be tolerated. For Audriana, it was overwhelming. The Punishers didn't just show up, they embraced her. They gave her a pink helmet, a custom vest, and most importantly, they told her she was family. "Think of us like your uncles," one biker said. "We're here for you." At that moment, the little girl who had felt so small at school suddenly stood taller. The next morning, the Punishers returned not just to say hello, but to give Audriana an experience she would never forget. With her new vest snug on her shoulders and her pink helmet shining, she climbed onto a motorcycle. The engine roared to life beneath her, and suddenly, the little girl who had been mocked for her love of bikes was surrounded by a wall of protection. Dozens of riders flanked her on all sides as they rumbled down the road. Neighbors came outside to watch the convoy, some cheering, some snapping photos. The sound of the engines was like a declaration, echoing through the streets. This child was not alone. When they reached Marshall Elementary, the sight was unforgettable. Parents stood frozen in awe as a 7-year-old girl pulled up to school escorted by a biker gang. Her classmates, who once whispered and pointed, now stared wide-eyed as the bikes lined up like a protective army. There was no mistaking the message. Audriana wasn't to be ridiculed. She was to be respected. The bikers gave her hugs, words of encouragement, and reminders that she was special. "You're strong," one said. "Never let anyone make you feel small again." In that moment, the shy girl who had dreaded walking into class now walked with her head held high, knowing she had an entire family behind her. Her mother, Alexandria, watched with tears in her eyes. "We just wanted her to feel special," she said later. "Every child is beautiful. We wanted her to know that not everyone is mean, that there are still good people in this world." The Punishers didn't stop there. They promised to always be around for her, to answer if she ever needed them again. "She's part of our family now," Bushy explained. "If she needs anything, she just has to let us know." For the bikers, this wasn't just about engines and leather. It was about sending a message not only to the bullies, but to every child who feels different. A reminder that passions, whether dirt bikes or books, sports or art, should be celebrated, not mocked. As for Audriana, the impact was immediate. The bullying stopped. Her classmates began to see her differently. Some even grew curious about bikes, realizing that her hobby wasn't strange at all. It was exciting. And while she still faced the everyday challenges of growing up, she no longer felt alone in them. At night, when the roar of motorcycles was gone and the neighborhood returned to quiet, the memory remained. A pack of bikers had pulled up, not to scare, but to protect. They had turned the sound of engines into a song of belonging. What began as a painful story of bullying ended with hope, friendship, and the courage to be different. And for one little girl in Ohio, the lesson was clear. Sometimes, family doesn't just mean the people you are born to. It can also mean those who choose to ride into your life when you need them most.